So we have completed so far Old English period in English literature and Middle English period in English literature, or Old English period and Middle English period literature we have so far completed. For quick revision, let us go with the periods of English literature so that we'll get connected to the topic which you are dealing in the present class. So this is the periods of English literature chart, or periods of English literature chart on your screen. Can you see the screen, Ghosh?
Yes, sir, I can see the
Right.
screen.
So let us quickly revise, because if you memorize, then only you will remember these things. From 450 to 1066, Old English literature. Old English literature is almost all impossible to read, and that English which was written or used to write in that age was completely not readable for the modern students like you and me. And then the Old English period was filled with lot of battles, wars between Anglo-Saxons, people from different Germanic tribes. They came to land of England, and they started ruling that land. So there was complete chaos. There was lot of disturbance was there. So there was no great literature produced during that age. One of the notable literary works in that age to associate that Old English literature is Beowulf, but that is not available for reading, or the manuscript is not available. So one of the Old English or first English epic available or known to us is the Beowulf. Author is unknown to us, and this Old English literature period was most probably influenced by the Germanic tribes. Then we came to the 1066 to 1500 is the Middle English literature, and this Middle English literature is divided into again different stages based upon the rulers and based upon the literary figures. Now if you try to go little deep into the Middle English period before we start the Renaissance or modern, if you see this one, in the Middle English period, if you go with the historical background, the division between the Old English period and the Middle English period is the history is 1066 invasion of England by William the Conqueror, and 1066 to 1350 is the Anglo-Norman period, and 1066 to 1400 is the French influence. And the feudalism means in those days there were lords. Those were the subordinates, the kings and queens, and these lords own land. And people who wanted to cultivate or practice agriculture, they have to work in these landlords. Okay, and these lands were in the control of those lords, and that is the reason why they can exploit the other part or sections of the society, and that is called feudalism. And then there was a great French literature influence in the English literature, and the church became dominant, and this was the period for the miracle, mystery and morality plays. Miracle plays are the stories based upon the lives of saints. Mystery plays are the stories based upon the life of Jesus Christ, Old Testament and New Testament. And morality plays are the plays where the characters are plays like virtue, vices of the human beings. So this is the development of a drama: miracle plays, mystery plays, morality plays. Then further we studied in the Old English Middle English period, the English language has become simple, and these Hastings, Normans and Saxons, they become united. Some kind of peace started entering into the lives of the people of the England, and there is a growth of nationality, centralized government developed, and the literature has become little prominent because the people who went outside the England amassed wealth, or they returned with lot of money, so they generally look for the entertainments, and the writers of that age, they started writing to please the lower classes of the society. So that is the reason why the literature was written for the lower class people. And few notable or important writers or notable works of authors are Gawain and the Green Knight. The author is unknown to us. And then the first popular or famous poet or writer in English literature is Chaucer. He was born in 1340. 1350 to 1400 gap is known as the age of Chaucer. And then in the 14th century, what happened? There is a decline in feudalism, and the first time the Bible was translated from Latin into English by John Wycliffe in 1382. So then we have studied about Geoffrey Chaucer, who is known as the first poet in English literature, and he is also known as Prince of Plagiarists. That means he copies the themes, ideas from other writers, but he claims that belongs to him. And he introduced the heroic couplet into English literature, and Alexander Pope has extensively used the heroic couplet in his literature. Now we are going to start the Renaissance or early modern period. Is it clearly visible?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now in this 1500 to 1660, the Renaissance or the early modern period is again subdivided into 4 divisions. In the previous class we discussed that. Again let us go back to the periods of English literature and try to find out what are the divisions in the Renaissance or the early modern period in the periods of English literature. If you see on the screen, this 1500 to 1660 is known as the Renaissance or early modern, and this Renaissance or early modern period is again subdivided into 4 different parts. The division is based upon the rulers who ruled the country in those days. So from 1558 to 1603 is the Elizabethan Age, because Queen Elizabeth was a monarch or the head of the England. And then 1603 to 1625 age is known as Jacobean Age, and 1625 to 1649 is known as Caroline Age, and 1649 to 1660 is known as the Commonwealth period or Puritan interregnum. So now we are going to discuss today the Elizabethan Age, which is one of the most important ages, or which is considered to be the golden age in the English literature. So now let us go to this today's class. The topic is about the Renaissance or the early modern period, and under that we are going to discuss today first period. Where am I? Elizabethan Age. So why the name has been given Elizabethan Age? Because the Queen Elizabeth was the prominent figure or a famous figure or a popular figure of this age. So this age 1558 to 1603 is associated with the great deeds done by Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth. Now let us understand first the historical background of this age. So who was the ruler of the England in those days? Queen Elizabeth I or Elizabeth I was a ruler of the England from 1558 to 1603. Now during her reign, she was known as a greatest leader, one of the greatest leaders of England, and she has brought religious tolerance in England. So before that there were religious intolerance, communal harmony was not found in the England because there were Protestants and Catholics, there were fighting. North side of the England is divided and south side of England is divided, and these two groups, these two sects in the Christianity were trying to dominate each other and wanted to become the powerful communities in England. But Elizabeth was very smart, so she convinced these two groups and made a pact or made some kind of agreement between these two communities and brought religious tolerance. So Queen Elizabeth was the one first time in the history of England who made these two Catholics and Protestants to live in peace and harmony. When she made this possible, then they developed the religious tolerance. Once the religious tolerance developed, or once the religious harmony entered into the lives of people, then people can think about other aspects of the life. When they were involved in war and this kind of conflict and the struggle, they can't focus on the other things. So Queen Elizabeth very smartly made these two different groups to come into terms, and that brought religious tolerance in the England. And because of that, what happened, people started focusing on the trade, and because Queen Elizabeth promoted the trade and East India Company and all those things, the trade brought wealth to England. So when the money had started coming into the land of England or England, then people's living standards improved. Improvement in living standards took place when the trade brought a lot of wealth in England. Don't think like we Indians, they were looted us. All those things might be correct, but according to the English history, the trade brought wealth to England and made people of England to improvise their living standards. When money enters into their life, when money comes into their life, then what happened? They started thinking something which were not allowed the previous generation to think. So if I want to explain, I can explain 2-3 minutes, then we'll go back to the topic. Ghosh, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Audible.
See, for a middle class guy like you and me, we always think about how much money is available in our bank balance, correct?
Yes, sir.
That means our morale, our courage directly proportional to the bank balance in our account. Do you agree?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That means whatever we think, whatever we want to do, or what whatever comes into your mind, it has a limitation, and the limitation is financial limitation. If you are financially strong, our level of thought will also grow. If you are financially super strong, then the thought level will be very, very high. It is not about the maturity, it is about the life standards I am talking. For example, if you are earning 25,000 to 30,000 rupees, so within that 30,000 rupees only you have to maintain your entire family. But now somebody who is earning 30 lakhs per month, now do you think both of your standards remain same, Ghosh?
Not at all, not at all, sir.
So what will be the difference the money can bring in the lives of people?
The aristocratic people, actually they will enjoy their life of standard will be what should I say, means it is elevated, but the people like us who belong to middle class family, their life is not a standard just like them, actually, sir.
Right. So when the money started flowing inside in England, the living standards of the people developed or increased. Then what happened when the standards increased? For example, every time you tell, of course it is recording, but no need to worry. Every time you tell, right, no, exploitation is going on. So in your mind always there will be one thing going on. I am working, but I am not getting what I am supposed to get in return. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You are working for 1 lakh rupee, but you might be giving only like 20 or 30,000 rupees per month. So that causes frustration to you. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, can you think positivity about or something positivity about the life and the people around you?
Sorry, sir. Repeat the question.
When you are being exploited by your own fellow human beings, can you think positive about those people?
Why? How is it possible for me to feel positive about those people?
Right. Can you feel positive or what do you call positive about the society in which you are living?
No, sir. No, sir.
So our living conditions will directly influence our thought process, and that will influence even the way we dream in our life. We can't dream beyond getting a government job. We believe that whatever we can achieve, it can be achieved only through a good job. Correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So coming back to the story, because it will be a lengthy discussion, I don't want to go into that discussion. Just whatever, my point is simple. The amount, the money, the wealth in our life will decide what kind of thoughts we have, what kind of ideas we'll get, what kind of dreams do we have in our life. So when England become wealthy, the people improved their life standards or living standards. That is the reason why this Queen Elizabeth Age is also known as Age of Dreams. They got the time, plenty of time to dream. When they start dreaming, then new thoughts will come, new ideas will come, new flavor will enter into their life, and all those things will reflect into their poetry. For a layman, if you tell romantic poetry, if you speak to them, if you talk to them, the Keats and all those poetry, Wordsworth poetry, it is nothing for them. The reason is they are hungry. When their stomachs are empty, when their pockets are empty, if you try to give them the best of the best literature also, they will never appreciate that. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, definitely, sir.
So Age of Dreams, the age of Elizabeth is also known as Age of Dreams, and it is age of adventure. What is this age of adventure? When people have money, when people have peace, when people have time to enjoy their life, they will explore this world in an adventurous way. So when they try to do these adventures, when they want to explore the world, they will go to the new frontiers or new areas, new ways, so that they will bring lot of knowledge in return, and that will enrich their literature. And then unbound enthusiasm, you can see those people of England in those days, they conquered almost all 143 countries, and it is said that the sun never set in the kingdom of England. That means the English people's kingdom, Queen Victoria's and Queen Elizabeth kingdom, the sun never set. That means they have so much of land occupied and conquered that if sun sets in this part, there will be sun in another part. So that is the unbounded enthusiasm. But all these things comes because of the Queen Elizabeth. She was so smart to make peace and to bring peace into the society and the lives of people. So that is why it is called one of the greatest ages, the golden age of English literature. And it is intellectual age. So these are all words We can associate with the Elizabethan period. It is age of dreams, it is age of adventure, they have unbounded enthusiasm, and it is also known as intellectual age, and it is also known as age of poetry. How come this intellectual age is associated with Elizabeth? She is not that most intellectual person, but the people get that opportunity, time, space, energy and money to think in an intellectual way. They try to understand what is life, why they are living. All those things comes under the intellectual aspects. And how do we think? Why do we think? How do we get that opportunity to think? Unless we have living standards, proper living standards, we cannot explore those things. Ghosh, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Sometimes my students ask me some kind of question. So in front of everybody, I say that, see, I'm a small teacher in a school, and I don't have that kind of an opportunity and exposure to enhance my intellectual abilities. If I work in any university where I get only 1 period or 2 periods, and if I get a lot of time for contemplation and to read, then my intellectual abilities I can expand, I can improvise. But being a teacher in a small school, in a small area, our intellectual abilities cannot be enhanced. The reason is, the situation, the circumstances, the people around us will not allow us to expand or fly or explore our intellectual abilities, things. The reason is, we are bound to do this kind of works, and we were not allowed to go with such kind of ideas. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir, definitely. Sir.
So how do we think? There is always people like you and me think, no? How do those people get such kind of a wonderful ideas? They have time, space, energy to invest in thinking. Do we invest in thinking, Goji?
No, sir, we don't have the time actually.
Right. So time comes when we have money in our hands.
Yes, sir.
If you have money, you can enjoy, you can have time. Why? What I understood, I'll tell you. If you have money, that should improvise our living standards. It should improvise our intellectual abilities. Then only the money is rightly used. Otherwise, if you use money for drinking, eating, doing unnecessary things which are not required to do in our life, then the money is not used in a right way. Okay, let us go to the next one. It is considered as the golden age in English literature, and peace at home and peace abroad. So when there is peace in the lives of the people, now they have started thinking about so many things which were not possible for the people in the Middle English period or Middle Ages to contemplate. And then there is one more thing happened, defeat of Spanish Armada. The people of another country, France I suppose, Spanish, they came to England and they wanted to defeat and they wanted to conquer England, but Elizabeth, under the leadership of Elizabeth, they successfully defeated the Spanish Armada in 1589 I suppose. The typing mistake is there. Just let me just go back quickly. Spanish Armada, correct? We are checking.
Spanish Armada.
Spanish Armada. Wait a minute, somewhere I typed. Why it is missed? Spanish 1588.
It will be 1588.
1588. Spanish Armada is 1588. So when they defeated the Spanish Armada, England became one of the most powerful countries or nations in the world. So you understood the historical background of this age, Ghosh?
Yes, sir. Yes,
that means historical background is very important for the literary background. If the conditions are favorable, if the conditions are suitable, then the people of that age can produce the greatest literature. If the conditions are bad, then the people of that age cannot produce the greatest literature. For example, now there is a war going on between Ukraine and Russia, correct?
Yes,
now,
sir.
In that kind of state, can they think about the poetry, literature, art, or do they always worried about their life?
No, sir, not at all, not at all.
So that is what actually happened, and why Queen Elizabeth was so popular, so famous, is she brought peace at home and abroad. Now let us go to the literature part. During that period, we have few important literary features are there, literature is there. So first one is Edmund Spenser. Edmund Spenser, he had written the Fairy Queen in the Spenserian stanza, and he is known as the poet's poet. I am just giving the examination point of view information only. Who is known as poet's poet, Ghosh?
Edmund Spenser.
Edmund Spenser. Who called Edmund Spenser as a poet's poet? Charles Lamb. So Charles Lamb called Edmund Spenser as the poet's poet, and Edmund Spenser is the writer of the Fairy Queen, and the Fairy Queen is written in the Spenserian stanza. It is divided into 9-line stanzas and 8 of 5. You just remember this information, that is sufficient. And then Edmund Spenser is also known as the child of Renaissance and Reformation. What is he is known as? He is the child of Renaissance and Reformation. He is not the father of Renaissance. He is the child of Renaissance. He started this kind of Renaissance, new thought, new thinking in the literature. So Edmund Spenser is known as the child of Renaissance and Reformation, and his very famous book is the Fairy Queen, and this has 24 books. These are divided: Adventure and Triumph of a Knight, Virtues, allegorically completed only book. He wanted to write into 24 books. He started writing the books, but he lost other books, or he could not complete the other books. So he completed only 6 books, and these are the characters of the books: holiness, temperance, chastity, friendship, justice, courtesy, and these are available in the Red Cross Knights. There are 6 books I told you. First book is Red Cross Knight. Actually Sydney is the Red Cross Knight, and he represents the holiness, and that is in the book number 1. And Lady Una is a character in the Red Cross Knight book, and she is the religious character. She is also known as the Knight's Lady, and this character is found in the book number 1 of Red Knight Cross. Okay, now let us go to the next one. Then what is the name of the book 2 of the Fairy Queen? Is Sir Gawain. Temperance is the characteristic feature of this, the temperance, and he is found in the book number 2. Then third book is Brit Martis, who is actually Elizabeth, Queen, not Queen Elizabeth, and it represents the chastity. She is found in the book number 3. And Campbell and Tremont is a friendship, talks about the friendship, and they are found in the book number 4. And then we have Sir Artigal, who represents the justice, and he is found in the book number 5. And then Sir Calidore, who is representing the courtesy, and he is found in the book number 6. So there are 6 books completed by Edmund Spenser under Fairy Queen. He originally planned to complete writing 24 books as Fairy Queen to please the Elizabeth. Okay, and then Edmund Spenser's other books are Edmund Spenser's Shepherd's Calendar, which was published in 1579, and it contains 12 pastoral poems, for each month. So there are 12 months, so he had written one pastoral poem for each month. And then we have one more writer, Thomas Sacheverell, The Mirror for Magistrate. He is also one of the popular writers in Elizabethan Age. And then we have Sir Philip Sidney's Arcadia. Sir Philip Sidney had written the book Arcadia. Shall I go to the next slide?
Yes, sir. Sir, I want to know, Sir Philip Sidney has written Arcadia and Edmund Spenser's Shepherd's Calendar. Do you need to know the story or storyline of this concept? I just want to know.
It is better if you can at least go through once what is actually in the Shepherd's Calendar, what is being written in the Mirror of the Magistrates, what is being written in the Sir Philip Sidney's Arcadia. It is better. You will have at least information what is inside the book.
So in such a ways, there are innumerable writings and books. We have to go through many storylines, sir. Means, Shakespeare has written 37 dramas. Almost we have to read almost 25 or 30 drama, I think. But out of them, I have read only 7 to 8 dramas.
I am not discussing here Shakespeare. When it comes to Shakespeare, I'll tell you what are the important texts. But here, whatever is being written or shown on your screen, you should at least know some at least 1 or 2 lines about what is Shepherd's Calendar, what is pastoral poems. Pastoral poems means about the village life, rural life. So at least that kind of information you must be found. The Mirror for the Magistrates, and then the Arcadia. So what are these books and what is information? That much if you know, that is enough. Okay. But when it comes to Shakespeare, we should study the popular comedies, popular tragedies. Okay.
Yes, sir.
There are no shortcuts, Ghosh. There are no shortcuts. Now, during Elizabethan Age, other than Edmund Spenser, who is known as the child of the Renaissance and Reformation, why this Renaissance word is being used, why this early modern word is there, Reformation, People in England, they wanted new type of entertainment, new life, new ideas came into their life because of the wealth they have in their life. So they started having the new ideas, new set of beliefs and new ways of living, and that made another playwright become very, very popular, very famous, because Shakespeare wrote exactly to please the masses. He had not written the plays to please the royal people. So one of the greatest figures of the Elizabethan age is Shakespeare. So Shakespeare comes under whose age, Goshji?
Queen Elizabeth.
Queen Elizabeth, the greatest playwright in the world. He is considered to be the greatest playwright in the world. It is very difficult to understand how could he understand so much psychology in those age. Many people say that Shakespeare had not actually written, or original author is not Shakespeare, it is like Byron or somebody, they say, but whatever the reference is there, all those the greatest books composed or written by this person, we can't ignore him in literature. Okay, so he is considered as the greatest playwright in the world, and he was born on 23rd April 1564 at Stanford upon Avon. The questions may come, the date of birth of the Shakespeare can be asked, the place of birth of Shakespeare can be asked. So he was born on 23rd April 1564 at Stratford upon Avon, Warwickshire, and he is known as Bard of Avon. River name, Avon is river name, I suppose, if I could recall it properly. And he died on 23rd April 1616. See the coincidence, he was born on 23rd April, died on 23rd April, and the year is 1564 the birth, and the death is 1616. And he married at the age of 18 to Anne Hathaway, who was 8 years elder to him. So she is elder to him, and he married Anne Hathaway, who was also a widow at that time, if I could recall it properly, and he was 18 years old when he married to Anne Hathaway. And in his life there are three periods in the life. First 20 years at Stratford, next 25 years as an actor and playwright in London, and last 5 years after becoming so wealthy and popular, he gave up playwriting and he returned to his Stanford, and he spent his retired life in a very peaceful manner. And so last 5 years are retirement life, and he spent his life in Stanford. So there are three stages or three phases in Shakespeare's life, or three periods in Shakespeare's life. First 20 years he spent in Stratford, and then 25 years as an actor and playwright in London, and he became very popular, and the last 5 years in retirement in London. And he died in April 23rd 1616. He is also known as stable boy, who used to keep the horses. People whoever came to the theater to watch the plays, when he was working in the theater, he used to work as a stable boy. He used to take the horses and to tie the rope, all those things. So that's why he is also known as stable boy. So this is the introduction about Shakespeare. No question paper in English literature can be framed without question from Shakespeare's life. So life of Shakespeare is also equally important with his works. Ghosh, understood?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
Now coming back to Shakespeare's contribution to English literature. He had written 37 plays. There will be some kind of material where they show 36 plays only. Last play is not actually written by him. That is, of course, maybe right or wrong, but in examination point of view, it is 37 plays. The total number of plays written by Shakespeare is 37 plays. 3 plays in collaboration with John Fletcher. Who is the one who collaborated with Shakespeare to write the 3 plays?
John Fletcher.
John Fletcher. And he had written Venus and Adonis. Those are narrative poems, and those Venus and Adonis poems are published in 1593. And he had written The Rape of Lucretia in 1594, and The Phoenix and the Turtle. Maximum the confusion I faced while the preparation is, if they give you Shakespeare work of art like Hamlet, Julius Caesar, Macbeth, Tempest, Midnight Summer's Dream, all those things I can easily find out. But what do? They will give you a question, find out the book which is not authored by Shakespeare. They will not give you Hamlet, all those things. They will give you Rape of the Lucretia, The Phoenix and the Turtle, Venus and Adonis, and they will give you something other. So if you don't understand that, we have to read not only the popular writings of Shakespeare, we have to even understand, remember the minor writings of Shakespeare, then only we can answer to such kind of questions. Okay, so he had written 37 plays, 3 plays in collaboration with John Fletcher, and he had written narrative poems, Venus and Adonis, which was published in 1593, and The Rape of the Lucretia in 1594, and The Phoenix and the Turtle. Now he had written 154 sonnets. Again, there is a debate whether it is written 154, whether he only wrote or somebody wrote, but examination point of view, this information is important. Shakespeare had written 154 sonnets, and out of those 154 sonnets, 126 sonnets are addressed to Earl of Southampton, who is his friend, and then 26 sonnets are addressed to a dark lady. She is believed to be Shakespeare's mistress, and 2 sonnets dedicated to Mr. W.H., who is published by Thomas Thorpe. That means the Shakespeare sonnets and all these things are published by Thomas Thorpe in 1609, and this Mr. W.H. is important. His name is Mr. Henry Wriothesley, I suppose. Henry Wriothesley pronunciation. So Shakespeare had written 154 sonnets. Out of 154 sonnets, 126 sonnets are addressed to Earl of Southampton. He is his friend. 26 sonnets he addressed to Dark Lady or Mistress, and 2 sonnets are dedicated to Mr. W.H. And this 154 sonnets are published by Thomas Thorpe in 1609. So this is the introduction about Shakespeare.
Sir, I think the first 126 sonnets are dedicated to Mr. W.H.
Who is also known as Earl of Southampton.
Okay.
Shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, John Fletcher helped or supported Shakespeare to complete Henry VIII. One of the important questions: who helped Shakespeare or who contributed Shakespeare to complete Henry VIII play? It is John Fletcher. Who helped him?
John Fletcher.
And John Fletcher is his friend. Then he had written his plays with the help of some information, some other sources he has. With that sources, he had completed writing his greatest plays. So for his plays, the source is given here. If you see on the screen, the source for his historic plays. The source for his historic plays are, for histories, the source is Holinshed Chronicles. Which chronicle?
Holinshed's Chronicles.
Holinshed's Chronicles are the source of information for his histories. And for writing tragedies, he had taken the reference of Plutarch Lives. It is a book written by Thomas North's translations. So Thomas North has translated this Plutarch Lives, and for this tragedies, Shakespeare tragedies, Plutarch's Lives is the source of information, and this Plutarch Lives is associated with Thomas North's translation. So what is the major source of information for Shakespearean tragedies, Ghosh?
Plutarch's Lives.
Plutarch Lives. And Shakespeare worked in Lord Chamberlain's Men and King's Men. So these were the theatres. He worked in Lord Chamberlain's Men and King's Men. They will give you a question in which company Shakespeare did not work, and they will give you 2-3 things, and then they will ask you which one is correct and which one is not. And he is associated with 2 theatres, Globe Theatre and Blackfriars Theatre. What are the names of the theatres?
Globe Theatres and Blackfriars Theatres.
Globe Theatre and Blackfriars Theatre. In fact, he owned some shares in the Globe Theatre. And then during Henry VIII, when they were performing this Henry VIII on stage, the Globe Theatre got fire, and that made him to Shakespeare to lose some wealth or lot of wealth. And then if we come to the first folio of Shakespeare plays, so Shakespeare had written 37 plays, and all those plays are collected and then published. So the John Hemmings and Henry Condell is the one who published the first folio of Shakespeare plays in 1623. So important question, examination point of view: who published the first folio of Shakespeare's plays? Goji?
John Hemmings and Henry Condell.
John Hemmings and Henry Condell. And what is the year? Which is the year?
1623.
1623. So I'll repeat. John Hemmings and Henry Condell published the first folio of Shakespearean plays in 1623, and one play is not included into that folio, that is Pericles. What is Pericles? Prince of Tyre, not included. So only one play which is not included in the first folio of Shakespeare's published by John Hemmings and Henry Condell in 1623 is Pericles, because the question comes so many times in examination, which play is not part of the first folio of Shakespearean plays which were published in 1623 by John Hemmings and Henry Condell. What is the name of the play? Ghosh?
Pericles.
And what is the subtitle? Prince of Tyre. That is not included. Now, do you have collection of Shakespearean plays?
No, I don't have all the collections, sir, but I am having few, just like Macbeth is there, Hamlet is there, As You Like It is there, Othello is there, and then I am having Midsummer Night's Dream. I think that book also I am having, but I don't have all the books, sir.
1 second, I'll show you. Wait a minute.
You are having this collection also?
Can you see this one?
Yes, sir. The complete what is written there?
Shakespeare. The complete works of William Shakespeare, and it was published. Okay, it was published by Abbey Library, Murray Sales House, Holloway Road, London, Great Britain. It was published. Okay, printed in Romania. It was not printed in India. It was printed in Romania, and it has the collection of all the 37 plays and sonnets also.
So it is in text form?
Yes, the full
original text are there?
Original text, sonnets.
Oh, okay.
All those 156 sonnets are in this book. Now, this is an entire collection of Shakespeare, not published in India. It was published in Romania, printed in Romania. And can you tell me for how much money I would have purchased this book?
Might be 1,000.
50 rupees.
50 rupees?
50 rupees. And that too on footpath.
Oh.
When I was student,
yes.
When I was student in our university, evening time we used to go to the streets, market. So in front of one college, they used to sell the old books.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in those books I have seen this one, and that time it is in 2002, I suppose 2002. I asked the seller to give me this book, and he told 120 rupees or 130 rupees. Then I requested him, see, I don't have money, I'm studying, I want to read this book, if you give me. Then somehow, I don't know how I convinced him, he got convinced and he gave me this book for 50 rupees, because I had only 50 rupees in my pocket that day. So I paid 50 rupees and I purchased this book. So it is like, it gives a lot of happiness, correct, Ghosh, when you see this kind of things?
It is our good asset actually. Books are our good asset.
That day, 50 rupees might be like 5,000 rupees to me in those days. But
definitely.
I spent 50 rupees and I skipped dinner that night because I don't have money to eat that. I didn't have extra money to eat that night. So that was my condition also. Okay. So we need to invest on books, we need to read, we need to study, then only we can change our lives. There is no other way we can change, and no miracle will happen in our life, Ghosh. Sorry to tell you, no miracles will happen in our life. Nobody will come and change our life until we struggle to change our life.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Surely, sir.
So you need to read, there is no shortcut, there are no shortcuts, what I am trying to tell you. Let us go back to the story. Let us go back. So then what happened? When this Shakespeare produced these many great works in literature, we'll try to understand the background of Shakespeare. He has a very humble background. He came from a rural place. He was not university educated. Then it was very difficult to understand how could he understand the human psyche in such a level which was not able to understood by his fellow or contemporary writers. So that's why there were a group of people who criticized Shakespeare, that he was not actually deserve or worth of that praise. So those were called university wits. Who were those? University wits. So one of the university wits is Green. He called Shakespeare Green's growth worth of wit, an abstract crow beautified with our feathers. So he said that whatever they have earned, whatever they have acquired the knowledge, and Shakespeare copied their ideas, copied their works. So that's why Green said about Shakespeare, Green's groats worth of wit. That means Shakespeare has borrowed information and collected information from the Green's books, and he has an abstract crow beautified with our feathers. He is a crow, but he was beautified, added glamour to him because of the feathers. But whose feathers? The university wit feathers. So Green commented about Shakespeare, Green's groats worth of wit, an abstract crow beautified with our feathers. Then
please explain this one. Can't understand this one. Green. Actually, why university wits want to criticize William Shakespeare?
Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
So these were the university wits. Who are university wits? Those students who studied in Cambridge and Oxbridge.
Yes, sir.
Understood? Cambridge and Oxford we have, correct?
Yes.
So when whoever studied in these universities, Cambridge and Oxford, and there is a new word came called Oxbridge. What is that new name?
Oxbridge.
Oxbridge. That means the university grades or university students of Oxford and Cambridge, when they come together, then they have created a new word called Oxbridge, not Oxford. Now these were the famous writers, contemporaries to William Shakespeare in those days. Who are those university wits? They are from Cambridge. Christopher Marlowe, Robert Greene, Thomas Nash are from the Cambridge University. John Lill, Thomas Lodge, George Peele, Thomas Kidd. These were the Oxford. So up to 6, 3 are from Cambridge, 3 are from Oxford. These were actually university educated people, and they also started writing plays, but they failed to gain the reputation, fame and name as like a Shakespeare. So obviously they are unhappy with the name and fame and popularity of Shakespeare. So they started criticizing Shakespeare. They started finding the defects of Shakespeare plays, defects in the Shakespeare's life, and his background made them to make Shakespeare a comedian or to criticize Shakespeare. The reason is Shakespeare has a humble background. He never been to any university. He never have any good academic background. So without having any kind of academic background, how could he produce such kind of a majestic work or a marvelous work? So that was the greatest criticism, and they blamed Shakespeare that Shakespeare borrowed themes and ideas from different books, and he made that converted according to the audience of that age and made the audience to get attracted towards his plays. So that's why they started criticizing Shakespeare, and those were called as university wits. And one of the university wits is Robert Greene. Can you see here? Robert Greene. So when he criticized Shakespeare, Robert Greene said that Green's groats worth of wit. That means whatever Thomas Greene has produced, Shakespeare has copied and made audience to believe that it is his own creation. So he is an abstract crow. You know what do you call crow in Hindi? He's a crow. You understood, correct? He's an abstract crow, black, not beautiful, but beautified with our feathers. So Greene blamed Shakespeare that he collected all the ideas from different people and shown to this world that it is his own ideas. So that's why the criticism is made by Thomas Greene on Shakespeare. This sentence is important. Who said Green's groat worth of wit and abstract crow beautified with our feathers to Shakespeare? It is Thomas Greene. Who is Thomas Greene? One of the university wits.
Yes, sir.
Right. And then who called people of a group of people university wits? George Stainsbury called those people who are from Oxford and Cambridge as university wits. Who called them university wits? George
Stainsbury.
George Stainsbury called this group of people university wits. Who are those group of people? They were university educated from Oxford 3 and Cambridge 3. So that's why they call Oxbridge students.
Yes,
Right.
funny term of bricks, yes.
All right. So now let us go to the university wits. So these are the 7 university wits because they will ask you a question, who is not a university wit in the following. So they will give you 4 options. Out of 4 options, they will give you Christopher Marlowe, Robert Greene, Thomas Nash, and fourth option is Shakespeare. So who is not a university wit?
It will be Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. So now let us understand who are these universities. Christopher Marlowe, who is a contemporary to Shakespeare. Robert Greene is also a contemporary to Shakespeare. Thomas Nash is also contemporary to Shakespeare. These 3 are from Cambridge. So they studied in Cambridge. In those days, Cambridge, Oxford are very renowned, very famous universities. And from Oxford, John Lilly studied and Thomas Lodge studied, and Thomas Lodge had written Rosalind's Mardigal, and this is the inspiration or source of information for As You Like It for Shakespeare. And then George Peele is there, and 7th one is also under university wits, Thomas Kidd, who is not educated, and he had written the Spanish Tragedy, which is a source of information and inspiration for Hamlet or for the Shakespearean tragedy. Now, how many are there under university wits, Ghoshji?
7.
Who are they?
Christopher Marlowe, Robert Greene, Thomas Nash, they belong to Cambridge University. And John Lilly, Thomas Law, George Peele, and Thomas Kidd, they belong to Oxford University.
Right. Now, who is considered to be the leader of the university wits?
Robert Greene.
Christopher Marlowe.
Okay.
And who is not educated?
Thomas Kidd.
Thomas Kidd. And whose book is inspiration for As You Like It, Shakespeare?
And that is Thomas Lodge, Rosalind's Madrigal.
Right. And which book is inspiration for Hamlet?
And that is Spanish Tragedy.
Spanish Tragedy. Who wrote the Spanish Tragedy?
Thomas Kidd.
Thomas Kidd, right. So remember, these are the 7 university wits. Now let us go to the next slide. Now there are few more information we have to study for Shakespeare. Tales of Shakespeare is a book published by Charles Lamb. Who wrote Tales of Shakespeare?
Charles Lamb.
Charles Lamb, and this is a book for children. Tales of Shakespeare is a book written by Charles Lamb, and that is meant for children. Tales of
Sir,
Shakespeare.
it is written by both Charles Lamb and Mary Lamb.
Both, correct. But most of the book is composed and written by Charles Lamb.
Actually, in the book itself, it is written, composed by Charles Lamb and Mary Lamb. That is why I am telling.
Correct. Now, if you see this entire book, it is difficult to understand. So, Charles Lamb and Mary Lamb, what they did is, they want to make this book easy to read for children. So, that's why they have converted all those plays into small stories and made Tales of Shakespeare, and this is a children's book. Okay, then we have one more important person who had categorized Shakespearean tragedy. The name Shakespearean tragedy is given by A.C. Bradley. You know about this name, A.C. Bradley?
I heard the name A.C. Bradley, but I didn't know about this. Right?
So who gave the name the Shakespearean tragedy is A.C. Bradley. A.C. Bradley is associated with the Shakespearean tragedy. He did research on the Shakespearean tragedy, what are the features of Shakespearean tragedy, why Shakespearean tragedy is so effective compared to other tragedies. So that we are going to discuss in the next slide. Then John Ruskin commented that Shakespeare has no heroes, he has only heroines. Who said this statement?
John Ruskin.
John Ruskin said that Shakespeare has no heroes, he has only heroines. Shakespeare was wise enough or smart enough to understand in those days that women characters attract more than male characters. Nowadays in movies also we see more exposure is done by the female characters. Of course some Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, they also become shirtless nowadays, but he understood the technique, Shakespeare. Then Ben Jonson called Shakespeare the sweet swan of Avon. Who called Shakespeare as a sweet swan of Avon? Ben Jonson. And Samuel Johnson has written preface to Shakespeare. Who had written preface to Shakespeare?
Samuel
Johnson. Let us go again. Who had completed writing Tales of Shakespeare?
Charles Lamb and Mary Lamb.
Right. It is a book for children or the adults?
Children.
Right. Who is associated with the Shakespearean tragedy?
A.C. Bradley.
Okay. Shakespearean tragedy, A.C. Bradley discussed what are the characteristics of Shakespearean tragedy. What are the elements of the Shakespearean Tragedy. And who said Shakespeare has no heroes, he has only heroines?
That is John Ruskin.
John Ruskin. And what is the comment made by Ben Jonson against or on Shakespeare?
Sorry, sir, repeat.
What is the comment made by Ben Jonson about Shakespeare?
The sweet swan of Avon.
Right. What is Avon?
It is the place, name of the place.
Right.
Stratford on Avon.
Right. And who had written preface to Shakespeare?
Samuel Johnson.
Right. Good. Now, the last play of Shakespeare is The Tempest. What is the last play? Tempest. Shakespeare wrote plays in blank verse. He has not followed any other meter. He followed the blank verse. So, Shakespeare wrote plays in blank verse. What is the difference between blank verse and free verse?
Blank verse, I think there is no rhythm, no rhyme scheme, and sir, getting confused. Free verse and blank verse. If you tell us, you tell me.
Yes, I'll tell you. I'm trying to open and I'm trying to show you blank verse and free verse. Just give me a minute. Somewhere I have stored. Wait a minute. Just give me a minute. Wait a minute. Both have, one has meter, another one has rhythm. That is the difference between these two, blank verse and free verse. Just a minute, I am opening. I'll try to show you on screen. Blank verse. Didn't we explain that in the class already once? When we are discussing poetic forms? Goji?
No, sir. Blank verse and free verse, it is not there.
No problem. I found that one. I suppose we explained our... Okay, no problem. I'll just share once again with you. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
On right side, I have pasted that one. Now here, can you see?
Yes, sir.
So what is blank verse? In poetry, it has no rhyme, it will have only meter. And in free verse, it has rhyme but no meter. So Shakespeare followed blank verse. That means he never concentrated on rhyme, but he followed only the meter.
Yes, sir. Sir, it was there. I can remember now. You just gave this material. It was there.
I suppose poetic forms completed. Okay, fine, no problem. Yes. Then he had written Titus Andronicus, collaboration with Marlowe and George Peele. So these were university wits, correct? Marlowe and George Peele.
Yes, sir.
So these two are, one of these two had collaborated with the Shakespeare to complete Titus Andronicus. And mostly Shakespeare has borrowed plots from translations of Greek, Roman and other European stories. So it is to be accepted that Shakespeare's plays themes are actually borrowed from other literature, but his speciality, his greatness is to convert those ideas, convert those plots according to the need of the audience, to the circumstances, to the situations of the England. He wisely or smartly converted so that audience were mesmerized by his plays and the dialogues and all the characters. And he had first job in London as a holding of horses of visitors, like I told that he worked as a stable boy in the theaters. And one play is known as Julius Caesar play is known as transition play. So remember these facts, it will be helpful for you in examination. Now let us go to the Christopher Marlowe. Who is the next writer of other than Shakespeare of this age? Christopher Marlowe. He is the leader of university wit. There are 7 university wits are there, and Christopher Marlowe is the leader of the university wits, or is the most important figure in the university wits. Who are these university wits? Who studied in Oxford and Cambridge. So Christopher Marlowe created anti-hero. Who created anti-hero?
Christopher Marlowe.
So before Christopher Marlowe, there were only heroes and there were villains. But Christopher Marlowe created first anti-hero. Who is an anti-hero? An adventurous hero. Anti-hero means an adventurous hero, and he is the leader of university wits. And he had written The Jew of Malta, Edward II, Tamburlaine, and his very famous book is Dr. Faustus. Listen, heard about this book?
Yeah, Dr. Faustus.
Dr. Faustus. Doctor turned into necromancer. The pronunciation I'm not getting. Doctor turned into necromancer who makes a pact with the devil in order to obtain knowledge and power. Mephistopheles, agent of Satan. So this doctor, he was in search of knowledge. He wanted to acquire the unlimited knowledge. He wanted to know what is the real knowledge. So he sold his soul to a devil so that he can get all the knowledge or worldly knowledge. But what happened finally? The Mephistopheles, the agent of Satan, wanted to take his soul. Finally, he understood that that is not the right way. So those who are over ambitious, or those who want to obtain knowledge or power, they can end up like Dr. Faustus. And then what is actually 24 years, blames his parents. The Dr. Faustus blames his parents for his ill luck, whatever that happened in his life. And then Hero and Leander. Christopher Marlowe had written Hero and Leander. It is unfinished. Which book is unfinished of Christopher Marlowe is Hero and Leander. It is completed by Chapman. Shakespeare remembered the Marlowe as the dead shepherd in As You Like It. So Shakespeare also took little revenge or criticized Christopher Marlowe by creating one of the characters in his play As You Like It. So Shakespeare remembered Christopher Marlowe as the dead shepherd in As You Like It. Any questions, Koji?
No, sir.
Right. Let us go to the next one. Ben Jonson said Marlowe's mighty line. So Christopher Marlowe used blank verse, and Ben Jonson says that Marlowe's mighty line. So what is Marlowe's mighty line? It is blank words. Who said this one?
Ben Jonson.
Ben Jonson said that Christopher Marlowe has a mighty line. And what is that mighty line? He wrote everything in blank words. And Ben Jonson said about Shakespeare, who is a very close friend of Shakespeare, he says about Shakespeare that Shakespeare knew little Latin and less Greek. He is of not any age but for all time. So Ben Jonson has given comment on Shakespeare that he knew little Latin and less Greek. He doesn't know anything. He knew very little Latin and little less Greek, but he became so popular and so famous. And he said one more thing, Shakespeare is of not any age but for all time. So Shakespeare is applicable, suitable, and his ideas are possible even in this present generation also. And Ben Jonson is a very close friend of Shakespeare, and he is Ben Jonson.
Sir, the last line, he is not of any age but for all the time, means whether he is praising or criticizing. In this line, Ben Jonson,
he is appreciating. Everybody.
And the first line is criticizing.
He knew little Latin. These are two different lines. I just collected the lines and I kept for examination point of view. In exam, if you get the question, who said he knew little Latin, less Greek for Shakespeare? It is Ben Jonson. And who said Shakespeare is not of any age but for all time? Then it is Ben Jonson. They will give you Samuel Johnson, Ben Jonson, Coleridge, all those things, 4 names. You need to find out who is the one who commented the above line.
Yes, sir.
So he is of not any age but for all time means he cannot be called as an Elizabethan writer. His writings are suitable even for the modern generation also. Even at present also we can relate his works. Shakespeare's Hamlet, for example, we believe that everybody is a bit of Hamlet. Everybody has a smack of Hamlet. Everybody has such kind of character, to be or not to be. We are procrastinating things. So we can relate Shakespeare works even in this present generation also.
Yes,
not outdated. He is not outdated.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us go to the Shakespearean tragedy. Now these things are theoretically important, in examination point also important. Both ways it is important, because in interviews or sometimes they may ask you, what do you know about Shakespearean tragedy? Then you must be in a position to explain what is this, what are the features of Shakespearean tragedy. So I am going to explain, and it will be useful in examination point of view also, and as well as in your explanation. Whenever somebody asks you, you can explain Shakespearean tragedy. More than comedy, Shakespeare is known for his tragedies. First feature of Shakespearean tragedy is noble birth. The major characters are from royal families. Take Julius Caesar or Hamlet. They are not ordinary people. They are not middle class people. They are the royal family members, kings, queens, princes, princesses. So they are the noble birth. So all major characters of Shakespeare are from the noble families. So their noble birth is one of the major features in Shakespearean tragedies. Did you understand, Ghosh?
Yes, sir. But if we consider Macbeth, Macbeth does not belong to such elite class family.
But he's a royal family, correct? He wanted to become the king of the England, a king of that country, correct?
He wanted, but originally he does not belong to a royal family. He
Noble
was a
birth,
simple general.
noble,
By birth, he is noble.
right? So why Shakespeare has taken the royal families or noble birth or the people who are in that level in his tragedies? Because whenever those people from that height of glory and the appreciation and the value, if they fall from their level by their mistakes, by their own follies or weakness, then the audience can understand, the audience can easily get what you call, no, they will realize that the fall is not small. For example, if a poor person died, nobody finds anything. But if the prime minister of a country, if the president of a country, if the richest person of a country, if he dies, the whole nation acknowledges. So Shakespeare knows that the major characters of his tragedies are always from the royal families or from the noble birth. Understood, Goji?
Yes, sir.
Then all his heroes are tragic heroes. In the tragedies, all his heroes are tragic heroes. They are not comedians. They are very, very tragic heroes. Example, Hamlet. You take any tragedy of Shakespeare, the hero is a tragic hero. Sad, problems, miseries, plight, all those things. So that audience can relate, audience can connect to the character. So first characteristic feature is noble birth. Second one is his hero is a tragic hero in tragedy. Example, Hamlet. And the next one is heights of glory to depths of degradation. When that royal family member or when that noble person, yes, you know, Macbeth, went from that stature, from that height, when they fall because of their weakness or folly or over ambitious or greed, people or audience will feel thrill and get connected to the story. So third feature is they have fallen from the heights of glory to the depths of degradation. Example is Macbeth. And again I am telling, there is because of some weakness those people had fallen. And what are those weakness? Those called tragic flaws in their characters. Like means everybody has some kind of flaw in their character. It is like, you know, inbuilt. So we can't avoid that one. So it is not because of somebody or external forces. It is because of their own characteristic flaw or flaw in their own personality made them to fall from that height of glory to depths of degradation. So that is called tragic flaw, and it is also known as hamartia. What is this one?
Hamartia or hubris?
Hamartia or hubris. So what is hamartia and hubris? It is a tragic flaw in the major character of the tragedy. So they had fallen or they suffered in their life not because of the external forces, it is because of their tragic flaw, the problem, the flaw in their personality or in their character. See, for example, you and I also have this kind of tragic flaws. Sometimes we understood that because of this nature, because of this what you call quality in our personality, we are not successful, we are not becoming successful in life. Of course, that is a different topic we will discuss later on. But if you try to understand, even there are so many flaws in our character. Because of those flaws, because of those areas, we are not becoming successful in life. That we will discuss in later stages or in different class. So now, what are the tragic flaws in different tragedies of Shakespeare? Examination point of view, Hamlet tragic flaw is irresoluteness or procrastination. Hamlet was not capable of taking decisions on that time or at that particular crucial period of time, or in that moment he had so many opportunities to kill Polonius, he had so many opportunities to kill Claudius, but he failed to take a decision. So irresoluteness is a tragic flaw of Hamlet. Or procrastination, he procrastinate things, he postponed things. So that is the tragic flaw in the Hamlet character. And Macbeth is vaulting ambition. He wanted to become the king of the country. He wanted to rule the country. So Macbeth's tragic flaw is vaulting ambition, and Julius Caesar is hubris, overconfidence, pride. He believed that nobody can do anything to him. So these are the most important bits of information examination point of view. Tragic flaw in Hamlet character is irresoluteness or procrastination, and Macbeth's character is vaulting ambition, and in Julius Caesar it is hubris. What is hubris? Overconfidence or pride in the character. So these are the tragic flaws. So there are 4 features we discussed in Shakespearean tragedy according to A.C. Bradley. Noble birth, all major characters are noble birth, and the hero is tragic character, and all these heroes are fallen from the heights of glory to the depths of degradation, and every major character or the protagonist of the story or the plot or the play has tragic flaws. Tragic flaw is also known as hamartia or hubris, and Hamlet has irresoluteness or procrastination, Macbeth has vaulting ambition, and Julius Caesar has hubris or overconfidence or pride. In examination, what do? They give the tragic flaws in one column, they give the characters in another column, they may ask you to match. If they want to make it more complicated, then they will give you this in a disorder, and they will ask you to arrange it in a right order. But at least you should remember what are the tragic flaws in these 3 characters. Hamlet has irresoluteness or procrastination, Macbeth has vaulting ambition, and Julius Caesar has hubris or overconfidence or pride. समझ में आ रहा है घोष जी?
हाँ, yes sir, yes.
Right. So 4 features we completed about Shakespearean tragedy according to A.C. Bradley. Now Shakespeare used supernatural elements. What are the supernatural elements? In Hamlet play we can see the ghost father Hamlet, and in Macbeth we can see ghosts appearance, a slot of floating dagger, witches, and prophetic apparitions. 3 apparitions comes: a severe head, a bloody child, and a royal child holding trees. So these supernatural elements are part of Shakespearean tragedy, ghost and all those things, and Shakespearean tragedy contains these supernatural elements, and these elements are, if these elements are found in any kind of play, then those elements are known as machinery. What is the word?
Machinery.
So machinery in a play means the supernatural elements like ghost, appearance of these kind of supernatural things or supernatural elements that comes under the machinery. So the word machinery is associated with supernatural elements.
Yes sir.
Right. Next one, Shakespeare has introduced comic relief in the tragedies. Whenever Christopher Marlowe had written tragedy, or others when they have written tragedy, that is purely tragedy. There is no comic touch in the tragedy. But Shakespeare has introduced comic relief in his Shakespearean tragedies. So Shakespeare is the one who has brought this kind of comic relief, what you call phase, in the tragedies. So in Gravedigger's scene is in Hamlet, the Gravedigger scene is the comic relief, and in Macbeth the porter scene is the comic relief, and in Julius Caesar the joking between Flavius and Morellus is the comic reliefs. So why do Shakespeare introduce comic relief? That is a very serious drama, everything is going in a very serious note, but suddenly there will be some comic relief so that audience will not lose the intensity. If you show entire play in a very serious manner, the audience may not feel a kind of variety. So Shakespeare has introduced comic relief in his plays. And examination point of view, in Hamlet the comic relief happens or occurs or comes in Gravedigger scene, and the comic relief in Macbeth is porter scene, and the comic relief Shakespeare introduced in Julius Caesar is the joking between Flavius and Morellus. They'll give you examination exactly direct to the point questions for this comic relief scenes or comic relief part in the question paper. समझ में आ रहा है घोष जी?
हाँ, yes sir, yes sir.
Next one is sympathy. So audience, when they watch the play, they feel sympathy about the major characters or the protagonist of the play. So Hamlet is a tragic hero, and why do they believe? Let me just read. Because the notion of revenge drives him while his Christian morality and inclination simultaneously exhort him to be charitable. So when you see the character of Hamlet, he wanted to kill his father's murderer, he want to kill him, but he has a Christian morality. Christian morality preaches that forgive and forget, but he was not able to forgive his uncle, not able to forget the death of his father. Who killed Father Hamlet in the play Hamlet?
Claudius.
Claudius. Who married Hamlet's mother? Claudius.
Claudius only.
What is the name? What is the name of Hamlet's mother in the Hamlet play?
Gertrude.
Gertrude, right? And who is the what do you call lady love of Hamlet in the play?
Ophelia.
Ophelia. What is the name of the fathers of Ophelia? Polonius.
Polonius, yes.
Polonius. Who killed Polonius?
Polonius,
Hamlet.
that is
Hamlet.
Hamlet.
Thought that it is Claudius who was hiding behind the curtain, so he stabbed. But it was not actually Claudius, it was actually Polonius.
Yes, sir.
Right. So now come back. Why Hamlet has become a tragic hero? Because he wanted to take revenge, but he was not able to take the revenge on time or in a proper way or at the proper moment, because his Christian morality and inclination simultaneously exhort him to be charitable. He wanted to forget and forgive people, because Christianity says, morality says that we should not take revenge, we should forget people and forgive people. So he also got confused. Don't we also get confused in our life, whether to forgive
Yes,
people
sir.
and forget people?
Yes, sir.
Right?
We sometimes involve in oscillation, in dilly-dally.
So are we also not bit of Hamlet?
Yes, sir.
Right. So we should not become Hamlets. We should be very clear in life, what is right and what is wrong, what to do and what not to do. Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
that makes the hero turn into a tragic hero. Audience can understand, see, whatever action he is going to do is correct, but when he is not doing that, when Hamlet was not killing Claudius, the audience who are watching the play, they'll sympathize with the character. They don't take negative about the character, because they understood the plight and misery of the character of Hamlet. So that is the reason why Hamlet character is appreciated by millions of people in the planet Earth, and it is very difficult to understand the Hamlet character. Let me just tell you just 1 minute. When I read Hamlet, I couldn't understand anything about Hamlet character. My professor was appreciating the character. So many people were telling so many great things about Hamlet. But I thought, what is the greatness in the character of Hamlet? Until I read Hamlet's story and I read the explanation of the Hamlet character, and when I started thinking about Hamlet, then I realized that everybody has a bit of Hamlet. Everybody has Hamlet's characteristic features. We also get lost in our life. We also have irresoluteness. We also procrastinate things. We also fail to take decision in the proper moment, and that is the reason why our lives have turned into miserable or misery. It is not because of any other external factors. It is because of lack of taking decision. You and I also are part of this plight. When we fail to take a right decision at a right moment, that will create a lot of problems and troubles and misery in our life. Do you agree with me?
Yes, surely, sir.
So everybody can become a Hamlet, and we are actually, in one way or the other way, according to Shakespeare, we are all having this kind of Hamlet characteristics. So that's why it is said, very famous or like, to be or not to be, to do or not to do. Okay, understood? अभी तक समझ में आ गया गोजी?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. And then Macbeth is also tragic hero. Overwhelming ambition. He wanted to become the king of the country by killing the king. Right?
Yes.
Is it wrong or right?
It is this such kind of halting ambition should not be in Macbeth actually, and Lady Macbeth is also responsible for this. It is because Lady Macbeth always convinced him, and even she did not what should I say? Did not feel ashamed to threat or to provoke her husband that you are the male person, you are unable to kill the king, and and she told about her breast also. So many references are there. I have read the whole text actually. Means whenever I go through the text, I'm really enchanted to hear, just to read the text. Actually, there are some references and there are some lines which are really applicable to our own life, and especially my life, sir.
Everybody's life, but don't get fascinated by Lady Macbeth. Okay.
that I know, sir.
She's a wicked woman. She's a provoking, right? Macbeth.
Yes, sir. Yes, okay. Sir. Fourth, which some critics called.
Yes. Okay, let us go to 7 characteristic features we studied about Shakespearean tragedy. One is noble birth, second one is tragic hero, third one is he had fallen from the heights of glory to depth of degradation, and tragic flaw is studied. And what are the tragic flaws in Hamlet character is irresoluteness or procrastination, and in Macbeth vaulting ambition, and in Julius Caesar hubris or overconfidence or pride. Then the fifth character is Shakespeare used supernatural element, and that is called machinery, and he has introduced comic relief into his tragedy, and Shakespearean heroes, tragic heroes evoke sympathy among the audience. Then Shakespeare has used soliloquies, extensive use of soliloquies in his tragedies, and in Hamlet the very famous soliloquies, to be or not to be, that was the question, to do or not to do, that is the most difficult question in life. And in Macbeth, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, it was found in Act 5 and Scene 5. And then ninth point is conflict. Now what is this conflict? Conflict within and conflict out. If I suppose I have not copy and pasted properly, but I'll explain. There is a conflict always in the character. If you take Shakespeare also, he had a conflict whether to kill Claudius or not to kill Claudius, whether to leave Ophelia or not to leave Ophelia. So always there will be a conflict in between. That means they will struggle to take a decision. They can't arrive to a conclusion. They can't take a proper decision because there will be always a conflict within and out. That means there will be always a struggle in their mind, and they will always struggle with the external world. If I could open the exact page which I have written for this, just a minute. Where is this? Conflict within and without. So there are two kinds of conflicts we all face. Within, inside us, we will only have conflict to do or not to do, and without, we will have a conflict with the outside world. Most of us, we waste a lot of energy when we struggle within. So Shakespeare has this kind of conflict, creates conflict, and these are two types of conflict, within and without. So Shakespeare characters all struggle with this kind of conflict. So there are 9 characters or 9 features of Shakespearean tragedy. I'll repeat once again, Ghosh. Shakespearean tragedy features are noble birth, tragic hero, heights of glory to depths of degradation, and he has tragic flaws. Hamlet has irresoluteness or procrastination, Macbeth has vaulting ambition, Julius Caesar has hubris, overconfidence or pride, and Shakespeare used supernatural elements, and he introduced comic relief, and he created sympathy over the tragic characters. Audience evokes sympathy, the character evokes sympathy among the audience, and Shakespeare has used soliloquies, extensive use of soliloquies in his tragedies, and very famous soliloquy which is found in Hamlet is to be or not to be. That was the question. And Macbeth is tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It was found in Act 5 and Act 5 and Scene 5. And there is always conflict within and without in the character of the Shakespearean tragedies. Any question up to here?
No, sir.
Right. Now we are going to see 3 more slides which are actually for reference only. You have to go through that material afterwards. So Hamlet has 7 soliloquies. If I am right, let me just check once. Yes, it has 7 soliloquies. In examination point of view, they may ask you a question. How many soliloquies are in Shakespeare's Hamlet? So what is the number?
7.
7. If they want to set a very difficult question paper, then what do? They will give you part of soliloquy and they will give you act or scene. Okay, that means first soliloquy, oh, that is two solid flesh would melt, scene 2. Likewise, they will give the soliloquy and they will give the combination of the scene 2. Then Hamlet's second soliloquy, oh, all you host of heaven, oh earth, what else, is found in scene 5. Then Hamlet's third soliloquy, I so good God, by why now I am alone, this is found in scene 2. So they can, if they want to make the question paper very difficult, they will give you all these soliloquies in 4 and they will change the scenes and they may ask you to find out which soliloquy is exactly matched with the act and scene. But I don't think that kind of difficult questions they may give you, but anyhow, if you have this material, at least you will go through it once. So Hamlet has 7 soliloquies and these are the first 3 soliloquies, and next one is we have 3 more, 7 means total 7. So this is third soliloquy, again it is shown, and Hamlet's fourth soliloquy. So where is this to be or not to be? Where comes this soliloquy, Goji?
This is Act 3, Scene 1.
This is Act 3, Scene 1, and this is the Hamlet's fourth soliloquy, very, very famous soliloquy. And then Hamlet's fifth soliloquy is found in Act 3, Scene 2. Then Hamlet's sixth soliloquy is found in Act 3, Scene 3. And the last soliloquy in Hamlet, which is the seventh soliloquy, is found in Act 4 and Scene 5. So in examination point of view, just remember, in Hamlet, Shakespeare used 7 soliloquies. How many soliloquies?
7 soliloquies.
7 soliloquies. Now let us go to the next one, Macbeth. In Macbeth, we have how many soliloquies? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 soliloquies. How many?
7.
7 soliloquies. You can just go through the information. They may not ask you, but important soliloquies you have to remember. Devastation and defeat. Tomorrow, tomorrow, and tomorrow. This soliloquy is found in Act 5, Scene 5. So if they want to make question paper more difficult, then they may give you the soliloquy tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, what it actually represents of the character of Macbeth. It is a devastation and defeat. And here he is here in double trust. And this soliloquy is actually talking about the vaulting ambition. What is soliloquy, Ghoshji?
Soliloquy means the speaker or the character's own words, and he's telling something from his rapt contemplation, and the audience can hear his words, and he's alone on the stage. Nobody is on the stage.
Soliloquy is a technique used by the playwright to show what actually is happening or going on in the mind of the character. It is loud thinking, or it can be called as a loud thinking, so that audience can understand what is happening in the mind of the character.
Yes, sir. And define aside, sir.
Aside. Aside is also a private speech. There will be other characters on the stage. When the major character, the main character, when they speak, audience can hear the speech of the character, but the other characters who are on the stage, they may not hear the character speech.
Yes, yes.
Right. Okay, so I suppose I completed today's topic. Let us quickly revise what we learnt in this class. We actually started the periods of English literature in the previous class. We completed the old English literature from 450 AD to 1066 AD, and then we completed 1066 to 1500 AD, the Middle English period. And this Middle English period is again divided into 2 phases. If I can, it is divided 1066 to 1350 is the Anglo-Norman period, and 1066 to 1400 is the French period. And we got Chaucer's birth in the 1340, and that is also known as Age of Chaucer. And then 1350 to 1400 is the Age of Chaucer, and then we shifted to the Renaissance or the early modern. Under that there are 4 different divisions are there. Elizabethan Age is there, Jacobean Age is there, Caroline Age is there, Puritan Intergram or Commonwealth period are there. 4 periods are there. Under that we have just introduced, I not completed the entire thing, just I have introduced you the Elizabethan Age. In that Elizabethan Age also I just introduced you the history of the Elizabethan Age or historical background of the Elizabethan Age, and then who are the literary figures of that Elizabethan Age. Who is known as the child of Renaissance and Reformation is Edmund Spenser. And then I have introduced you few more writers and few more books of the Elizabethan Age. Then we discussed the life of Shakespeare, why Shakespeare is considered to be the greatest playwright, and his life we discussed, and his works also. Brief introduction was given towards his works of Shakespeare. Then we have understood the source of information for the Shakespeare works, and then we discussed the contemporary writers of Shakespeare who was categorized, who are compartmentalized, who are named as university wits. There were 7 people who are under university wits. 3 are from Cambridge, 3 are from Oxford, and 1 is Thomas Kidd, who is not educated. And then we discussed few more writers who had given comments or who are related with the Shakespearean age or Shakespearean literature. Then we studied one of the contemporary writer and who is a university wit and who is a leader of the university wits is Christopher Marlowe. His writings and all those things, and some comments about Shakespeare given by Ben Jonson. And then we understood most important topic, we understood the Shakespearean tragedy features. So what are the Shakespearean tragedy features according to A.C. Broadley? Noble birth, tragic hero, heights of glory to depths of degradation, tragic flaws. Hamlet has irresoluteness or procrastination is a tragic flaw. It is also known as hamartia or hubris. And Macbeth has vaulting ambition. Julius Caesar has hubris or overconfidence or pride. And then we discuss supernatural elements, comic relief, sympathy. Supernatural elements is also called as machinery of the play. If there is supernatural elements in the play, then that is comes under machinery. These are the Shakespearean tragedy features. And then there is soliloquies also there, and conflict within and without. And we come across we just refer to the 7 soliloquies in Hamlet and 7 soliloquies in Shakespeare's Macbeth. So in the next class, I am going to introduce you the important text of Shakespeare: Hamlet, Macbeth, Julius Caesar, and the Tempest. So this is from my side for today's class. We have 10 more minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask me, Goshi. Thanks for watching this video. If you have come to the end of this video, I believe that you are interested to watch a few more videos related to the topic. So now you can check this out video or watch this one. Click this video. It will take you into another video.